You got $10,000, but everything that used to cost under $10,000 as a cool enthusiast car seems to be getting out of reach. You can't buy a GX 470 Overlander anymore. You can't buy a manual E36 anymore. Everything is 15, 20. Everybody knows what they've got and no low ballers and take your trailer elsewhere, and you just can't get anything anymore. Or can you? Here are 4 slept on enthusiast cars that you can still get for under 10 grand. Car number 1, the luxury GMT 800 trucks. So I'm specifically talking about Yukon Denalis and Cadillac Escalades from 2001, 2002, up to about 2006. Why are these good enthusiast cars? Because they have a cool factor to them. They are the rapper's car of the past. They have this luxurious GM heavy couch-like feeling that you really cannot get in anything more modern than these trucks. They have dead reliable 6-liter LQ9 V8 LS-based GM engines. They actually make really good power. They have extremely comfortable and not overly expensive to fix air suspension, and they actually look pretty dang cool still today. And even if they don't, because the one you get might be a little bit worn out, they are relatively cheap in terms of repaints and in terms of fixing chrome trim or headlights and taillights, things that fade out and wear over time. Most of those replacement parts are still available new on Amazon Prime. Now you can actually get a very nice Yukon Denali or Escalade with 100,000 to 150,000 miles that wasn't beat to death, that maybe is finally being sold by their first owner for around 10 grand. You can get like a really nice one. And if you decide in a short amount of time that you don't want it, you can go list it on Bring a Trailer. Proof that it is indeed an enthusiast car. Things to make sure you are looking out for with Escalades and Yukon Denalis. While it has the good 6-liter LQ9 LS engine and not the lesser 5.3 and 4.8 that are still good, but just not as powerful as the 6-liter, they do still have the same transmission as the weaker GMT 800 engines. They have the 4L60. Now this is a well-known Swiss cheese terrible transmission. So as you're looking for your GMT 800, make sure that either the transmission has already been replaced or it has been well serviced. And if it has been replaced, make sure that if it's a used one, it comes with a warranty, or you know how many miles, and it's documented in paperwork, how many miles were on that used unit that was installed so that you can take good care of it over the course of its entire life. Even if you do need to replace the transmission, it's not going to be crazy expensive. It is still going to be more than if you just had a rear-wheel drive Silverado or something like that, because these are all-wheel drive SUVs. At the end of the day, it is a price you may have to pay, but it's not the end of the world for what is an extremely comfortable, relatively fast in today's modern world, cool SUV. All right, now on the complete opposite end of the spectrum in nearly every way except for having a full frame underneath it, the next vehicle I want to talk about is the Ford Ranger. That's right, every trim, every type of transmission and engine that you want to throw into one of these from the late 90s through the mid 2000s. If you're a millennial or a Gen Z, then you're familiar with the Ford fucking Ranger, and this is something that will always put a smile on your face. I had a 2006 four-wheel drive V6 automatic Ranger once upon a time, and I really only drove it a couple times. I bought it as a trade and then flipped it very quickly, and it was just a riot to have. Like, it's this little truck that you can throw around that's extremely utilitarian, that has this very bare bones interior, and you can buy an extremely, extremely nice one for 10 grand. Like, you're gonna get whatever you want at that price point. You can get a boxy one, you can get a roundy late 90s one, you can get the bulbous but much more powerful early 2000s one. There are so many options available in this range for you. I'm getting excited just talking about it. Now, the precise Ranger that suits your needs is really going to depend on what you're using it for. Are you going off-road? Do you live in a cold climate? Do you need space for more than 2 or 3 people in a bench seat? Are you experiencing different sorts of towing or hauling or off-road, big tire mud situations. There's a lot of ways in which you can outfit or equip a Ranger. So you got four-wheel drive, you got four-cylinder, you got two-wheel drive, you got V6, you got automatics, you got manuals, and you got all these different body styles to pick. You got long beds and short beds and extended cabs and crew cabs and regular cabs. There's so much to pick. I can't really narrow it down for you, but what I can tell you is there are a couple things that you need to look out for. In all of the 90s and across both the four cylinders and the six cylinders, head gaskets are a known problem. But despite the fact that head gaskets are a known problem, you can actually drive these things like with no coolant in them for a long time, and they'll probably survive. That's why Cletus McFarland has the Danger Ranger 5000 or whichever number it is. And that's a great testament to how durable these trucks are. So let's say you do buy one with a blown head gasket that you didn't know about, swapping in a new engine, not that expensive. Just plan for it, or make sure you do a block test, or at least check the oil cap before you go and buy it. And then make sure you shop for the correct mods, but don't go overboard if you do ever want to sell this thing. You're buying a nicer one at this price point, and you do need to think about whether you're gonna overly modify it, then you may have trouble selling it, and you'll probably not get your money back out of it at the end of it. And because this video is focused on both price point and the ability to continuously cycle through cars and get some cool stuff in this price point, I don't want you to sink a ton more money into it so that you can't expand your horizons a little bit in the future. Number 3 on the list, the Volvo S60R. Now, this was a car that when I was 16, my parents strangely decided that this was something that we should try out as an option for my first car. It suited my criteria in that it was a relatively cool performance sedan. I wanted to have a sedan for sure, and my parents really cared that it was safe and all-wheel drive because we lived in Seattle at the bottom of a ravine that made it extremely difficult to drive in snowy and wet conditions, and so all-wheel drive was an important priority for our family. And unfortunately for me, as 16, I was yet to be particularly skilled in folding myself into particularly small cars. And so I got into a Volvo S60 at a used car lot near my house. And we decided that it was not going to work because the handbrake dug into my knee, and it is weirdly positioned kind of in the driver's seating well, as opposed to on the center console, like most logical handbrake positions by most logical automotive manufacturers, which Volvo most certainly is not. But that's what makes this car fun and quirky and kind of the high performance option of my list today. Now, the reason that these are slept on, I think, is primarily because they don't have the best reliability reputation. And because Hamilton, who sits behind the camera, has firsthand experience with this with his Volvo S60R, which has needed a new engine and a new transmission during his ownership. And I may have advised that he get this car, and now I'm telling you to do the same. So anyways, let's keep going and digging my own grave. These cars are known to also rack up the miles, and though they may have some reliability issues, both major and some more minor and annoying ones, given these cars are getting more rare, parts availability may be a little harder to come by, there is a massively strong enthusiast community, Facebook groups, specialty shops. There are people super focused on preserving the Volvo R brand and making sure that these cars can continue to be enjoyed for a long time. And there's all sorts of aftermarket solutions that have already been developed and are continuing to be developed to make these things very sustainable vehicles that can stay on the road. Now, as far as a high performance option, this is a bit more comfortable of a car than I would have normally wanted to put on this list, but it fits because it has a high tunability. These are turbo 5 cylinders. They come in both automatic and manual with a very famous Spaceball shift handle on it that is cool. It doesn't really change much functionality, but it does certainly look cool. And it's this, basically Death Star that you get to grab and move around. And that can be fun. And the Volvo interior is a bit quirky. They have these cool blue interiors. They have tons of interesting paint colors to choose from. And if I were to expand this selection a little bit, you also have the V70R wagon option built at the same time. So you could have that Euro retro manual wagon turbo that you always wanted, and it can only cost you 10 grand. They fit into that budget, and yeah, you may want to have a little budget spare for some extra maintenance. And the last car on my list, and this one has a bit of overlap with the Volvo, but that's okay because this definitely veers less in the performance direction, is the early 2000s Jaguar XJR. And the reason that this is on the list is because the W220 Mercedes S55 AMG with the supercharger, so not the 2002, the 03 to 06 cannot be had for under 10 grand anymore, but a good one at least. The Jaguar XJR can be, and it is also a supercharged V8, big body, long wheelbase, European performance sedan. And if you like wood trim and big leather seats that soak you into them so that you can be wafted along by a big torquey engine, this is what you want for under 10 grand. And similarly to the Volvo, you are going to need to budget for this one. And the enthusiast community is not quite as strong as the Volvo community. And so I would recommend jumping on this one as fast as you can, because the time frame in which you can enjoy an early 2000s Jaguar, I believe, is shrinking. The expertise, the parts availability is all going away by the day as the people who know how to work on these cars gets fewer and fewer. Because in the case of our shops, Driven Auto Care, we won't work on early 2000s and 90s Jaguars because we just cannot get parts for them. We work on a fast turnaround timetable, and if you need to eBay or FCP Euro for a week out shipping plus fulfillment time before that from a manufacturer in the UK or whatever it may be, you're looking at storing the car for 2 weeks, and we have small shops and we can't afford to do that, so we can't take those cars on. So I'm not saying parts aren't available. I'm just saying that, you know, a shop like mine is not going to be the one to work on it. But nevertheless, I would recommend you buy it as a cool enthusiast car for that 10 grand budget. And as far as a relatively stout, big body, supercharged V8 luxury sedan, this is a pretty damn good option where you're getting one that isn't clapped out, isn't modified to crazy proportions. You might have to deal with some like 22s or 21s that you got to take off, but that's okay because you can put it back to a bigger tire, smaller wheel setup, and have that comfort back that the previous owner decided needed to go away for some bling. And that's the list. So what do you think? Did I truly nail slept on cars? Did I just meet some sort of supply and demand curve where you're gonna say this is obvious? Or maybe you think these recommendations are terrible. In which case, or in any case I should say, leave a comment below, leave a like, because it'll help us show up higher in the YouTube algorithm. And if you're not subscribed, get subscribed. And until the next video, hope to see you then. Stay driven.